Hello everyone. Today I've got 3 more amazing indie horror novels that you need to check out. 2 of these are going to be pre-orders. One is coming out later this month though, the other one a little bit later in the year, but you should still pick it up as soon as you can. And I even have one that's available right now, so you don't even have to wait. But before we get started, I want to remind you that I have books for sale. And if you want to read any of the books you see on your screen, you can do so at the link in the description. All right, let's get started. So the first book I want to share with you today is called The Local Truth. This is the White Harbor book #1. This is part of a series. This one is coming out on August 18th, I believe, just a couple weeks away. Time enough for you to pre-order it at the link in the description. This is by Carlos Rivera. And if you want to put it in a box, it's basically a small town horror story, kind of a coming of age story, and a cosmic horror story, all kind of rolled into one. But that wouldn't really be doing it justice, because this town of White Harbor is a very horrifying place to live. It has more events of deaths and murders and suicides and accidents, quote unquote, than any other town of its comparable size. And the residents are all aware of a secret place that you can't see, kind of hidden behind White Harbor, and that place they call Blight Harbor. This is a place where all the bad stuff goes, all the fear, all the pain, all the grief, every negative emotion. They put it behind this veil that they call Blight Harbor. And it almost seems like a small town way of kind of dealing with all these horrific things that have happened over the years. But throughout the course of this book, we're going to find out that Blight Harbor is very much real, even though you can't see it. And it is hungry all the time, and it feeds on this fear and this pain and this grief and this destruction. And the more people talk about it, the hungrier it gets, until it starts breaking out into the real world. And the cycle keeps repeating itself. But this one is filled with so many interesting characters. And for a first book in a series, this author did a fantastic job at not only establishing the characters, establishing the world, but he did it. I mean, this book is a creep fest, man. I mean, he did it without taking away any of the scares or frights that you would want from a horror book. This thing is just creepy as shit. Let's put it that way. I love this book. I love the whole concept about it, because we will look back on these people who are now adults as their children. So we kind of get a glimpse of them as children, the kind of people they were, how they all got to come together and interact, and then as adults we get to see where they are in their lives now, and how Blight Harbor is kind of making itself known again in a very, very terrifying way. And they might be the only ones that can stop it. So it does kind of have that Losers Club vibe from Stephen King's It going. But that's as far as the comparisons go to that book. There's a character in here, one of the character's mothers, who is one of the most evil people you will ever meet. She is kind of the leader of this sect that believes in their God. But this is not a God of Christianity or Islam or Hindu or anything like that. No, no, no. This God is much darker, much more evil. And she loves her God and her God only. The things she puts Peter through, the character, when he is younger, are things of nightmares. She is mentally and physically abusive toward him. And when you read about some of these things, you're going to have a real kind of hatred for this character, for this mother, as you should when you think about what she's done. But her God does have powers, and those powers are going to start leaking out throughout the book, creating this very creepy atmospheric read. And there's also a haunted house there that's very malevolent and is very much a death trap, basically, if you go inside, at least according to the local legend. We'll find out about that. And this house has a caretaker who's one of the creepiest characters you'll want to read about. He just sits in his chair. He doesn't talk to anybody. He doesn't interact with anybody. And his only companions are 2 big black mastiff dogs who will tear you apart if he gives them a sideways look. Very scary frightening stuff all throughout this book. So I highly recommend it. I cannot wait for the rest of this series to come out. It had me fully engaged. It gave me a world that you can just live in, that you can feel, that you can imagine. And you definitely do not want to pass on that. So you can pick up and pre-order your copy of the White Harbor Book 1 at the link in the description. Go ahead and do that. And next we have Downpour by Christopher Hawkins. I reviewed his anthology, Suburban Monsters, earlier. You can check out my videos if you want to find that. This is a full-length novel. It's coming out on October 3rd. But with all the creepy stuff coming out in October, I'm trying to give you guys the heads up on some books that you definitely don't want to pass on because of all the other stuff. This is the scariest book about rain you are ever going to read. I'm telling you. It's because of the atmosphere. There's a strange storm, and it starts raining down over this kind of isolated farmhouse in Illinois. And the location of this book and the characters are all set close together. There's one location throughout this whole book, that farmhouse. There's one family we're dealing with most of the time, and that's the family that lives in that farmhouse when this rain starts. This rain destroys everything it touches. If it gets on your skin, it feels oily and slick, almost like something moving over your skin. And it turns people basically into monsters if they're exposed to it for too long. And once this rain starts, it covers everything. This family cannot leave their farmhouse. But some family members start to become attracted to the rain. Something about it calls them to it. And they want to go outside and play in that rain, even though that would be a horrifying thing. So the father has to make decisions, heartbreaking decisions, no right decisions. But he's going to have to make decisions on what to do with his family members that are under his control to keep the rest of his family alive. This thing is very much heart-pounding. It'll have you on the edge of your seat, you know, because we're dealing with this one location. It also has a very claustrophobic feel to it, and you will sense that as you're reading, because we are aware through the internet and news reports that this thing is happening elsewhere in the country and the world. But they are trapped in this house with the storm raging outside, and some of the family members are being affected by it. And what are you going to do? You know, who are you going to sacrifice to keep the rest of your family safe, and how are you going to go about that sacrifice? Yeah, this is a fantastically brutal tale. Once this thing gets going, you will not be able to put it down. It's just that good. And if you never thought a book about rain could scare you, you are wrong. Because this one is absolutely frightening, brings a creep factor with it, and I can highly, highly recommend Downpour. You can pre-order that at the link in the description, along with all the rest of these books. And last, but of course never least, we have Welcome to Nightmare Island by Devin Carrera. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. This one is available right now, and man, this one is just a straight up, full speed ahead, no holds barred, action-packed, supernatural horror kind of slasher story. It's about a group of 5 friends who get this really strange invitation to go to this place, supposedly one of these haunts. They like to do the horror haunted houses thing. And they are told that this one is absolutely the scariest one they'll ever experience because there are real ghosts to deal with. Of course, they don't believe it. When they get to their location, they find out that they have to take a boat because the actual location is on an island, an abandoned island in the middle of nowhere. And once they get on that island, yeah, they're going to find out these ghosts are real. It's run by a man who's like one of the top ghost hunters, demonologists in the world, and he has spent his life's work going to different countries in the world and dealing with the most malevolent, evil, murderous, demonic ghosts that inhabit these areas. He's found a way to trap them and bring them to this island so they can't cause any more harm. And now he's made it into kind of a tourist attraction. He's trying to, and these 5 people are the first ones to come see. He has a protective barrier set up, so as long as they follow certain rules and guidelines and they have a bracelet that will help protect them, The ghosts can't get at them. But of course, this is a horror book, and pretty soon that system fails. I'm not going to tell you how. That's something else you got to read. And these murderous spirits are loose, and they are only looking to feed on human flesh. Now, these people are stuck there for 3 days until the boat comes back. So what are they going to do now? They have to escape these evil spirits. I will say this, the body count is high in this one. Not everybody will survive. The kill scenes are great and bloody and brutal, which of course we all love. But there's also a human element on this island. People that are there that shouldn't be there, that they might not be aware of. And their motivations are not as forthcoming as they might at first believe. So there is literally danger around every corner as they try to escape and try to find a way to hide out until this boat comes back to take them off. I mean, every situation where you think they have a little bit of relief, and then this author starts the next chapter and you find out, nope, something worse is even behind this door, or something even more horrific is in this building that they're trying to hide out in. And it's just, it keeps your interest because it's so fast-paced, and it just, once it starts, it just doesn't stop. And it is a full-length novel, but it doesn't really feel like that because of how quickly it will go, because you're just turning page after page after page, and you want to find out exactly if they're going to be able to get off this island. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. That's the big secret. You're going to have to read to find out. But yeah, it's bloody, it's brutal, it's a straight up supernatural horror, ghost, slasher story. It's got all those things involved, and you are going to love it. I can't recommend it enough. Welcome to Nightmare Island. You can find that link also in the description. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it with me. I appreciate you guys watching my videos. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.